I think tonight would be a good chance to connect with some new business owners and answer some questions and make some new connections.
This evening means a lot for me as a downtown advocate and business owner, and somebody who advocates for aiding other businesses that are aspiring to come downtown or just open in general, and people who would like some more guidance and help in paving their path forward into becoming a business owner.
All right, we'll go ahead and get going. Can everybody hear me? Is that good? Okay, yeah. My name's David Lee. I'm the committee chairman for Momentum on Main Street, which is a program of DSI. I'm also a board member for DSI. So happy that everybody's here. Just curious to poll the room. How many business owners are here? Just raise your hands, or want to be? Want to be a business owner and want to hear more? Okay, cool. And then any like lenders? See some. Okay, I figured you guys would. The suits, yeah, the suits. No, I'm kidding. Awesome. Well, this whole Momentum on Main Street series, we want this to be, an area where we all connect to. So I love that there was already a lot of conversation going on, and we'll interview Christina and Zach here for about 20, 30 minutes. Have some Q&A time. So please answer or ask any questions. I feel like with this topic in particular, could really get a wide variety of stuff that people want to hear about. So please ask questions for them. But we really just want to have a forum here where we can get people, like-minded people in the same room, have you connect, and hear from people that are kind of in the arena. So Christina is starting a wine bar called Ad Astra, Christina Barbie, and then Zach Reed here works for First Bankers Trust, pardon me, and he's a commercial lender for them. So just want to get some questions out of them and hear their stories and hopefully knock down some of the perceived barriers, whether they're perceived or real for you guys when it comes to starting a business, anything finance related. And hopefully have a good evening. It's beautiful out, so hopefully we can stay around and have some conversation after. When we did Momentum on Main Street at first, we really created this because downtown especially, we want this to be the entrepreneurial and innovative ecosystem. And we think that the best way to kind of attract that next generation is just to have these conversations and connect people and answer questions for people. So that's what we're here to do. So let's start it off with Christina. If you just want to tell us a little bit about your business and kind of give us a little background and why we asked you to do this in particular for your financing.
Hi everybody, I'm Christina. Like David said, I'm opening Ad Astra. I don't have an opening date yet. Please don't ask me. It's coming soon. But my kind of quick story behind Ad Astra is, so the name, it means to the stars. It's from a Latin phrase, Ad Astra per aspera, which means to the stars through hardships. And a very long story that I will tell anybody who listens, but a very long story short, is that I've gone through a lot in my life, faced a lot of hardships, a lot of triumphs, but a lot of work, had to rebuild my life entirely from the ground up. And as soon as I got my crap together, COVID happened, which was fantastic. And I faced a lot of hardships, but I came through it all. And something that was always on my mind whenever I kind of came up out on top was I wanted to create something that shared that story and shared with other people that they can do that too. And not only that, but a community place where people can come whenever they're in the thick of it, whenever life's just thrown everything at them, where they can come and not only grab a really good drink, but also have a really good conversation and feel welcomed and included in a space maybe they felt excluded from before. And also a place where people can come when they want to celebrate. Maybe you're celebrating that divorce, that new relationship, that promotion, that interview, and this is the place that you want to come and celebrate because life is all about the ups and the downs. And I had thought about a wine bar for a long time, even back in the day when I was 18, drinking barefoot that my older boyfriend bought for me at the gas station. I'd always kind of like thought about a wine bar, and it kind of all came together through a complete happenstance when I sent you and somebody else an email going, you guys know of any buildings downtown that might work for a wine bar? I'm thinking about it. And then like almost instantly we were talking about one of your buildings, and that's where I'm going in. And so that's kind of like the super short version of Ad Astra. And being here tonight, besides handing out free wine tasting cards, if anybody has not picked one up, I have them. It just means a lot because just like a lot of my struggles in life that I had to come out of, getting to this point where we're not that far away from opening has not been easy, and I wanted to use my platform and this time to help lessen any burden, any struggles anybody faces. With a wine bar, there are a lot of extra challenges that maybe other businesses don't face when getting financing and just getting permits and opening. And so I kind of wanted to lend any professional advice. Unprofessional advice is also a given with me, and just help when I can.
Okay. Yeah, so my name is Zach Reed. I'm a commercial lender at First Bankers Trust. We're across the street from NCL. I've been in banking since 2014, started at Marine Bank, went the route of teller to personal banker to junior loan officer, switched over to First Bankers Trust 3 years ago. Springfield, born and raised. I've been here 31, almost 32 years. I try to help a lot of people like Christina. So I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard during the last recession, 2008, 2009, that like the most businesses started during that time. A lot of people start to look internally and say, hey, what are my goals? I just even talked to a couple people, as we were getting started here, that they're looking to start businesses, and that's why they came here tonight. So Christina, why did you look to start this during this time? You talked about and we've talked before, a little bit of a self-exploration journey. Can you just kind of give us a little bit of lead up to you going through this?
For me, like I said, a lot of things happened in my life. In 2019, I literally lost everything in my life. A lot of money from a divorce, all my friends, my home. I had to pack my life up along with my pride and move back into my parents' house that was under construction and hide in a spare bedroom away from my parents for a very long time. And that combined with COVID gave me a lot of time and a lot of therapy to reflect on life and what I wanted. And I know we have talked about advice for business owners, and I think my biggest advice for aspiring business owners is figure yourself out first before even bothering putting together a business plan. Because what you don't want to have happen is be a year or two into a business and go, I hate this. Even on the good days, this sucks, and this is not what I want because I'm a new person. And what happened in 2008, 2009 happened to a lot of people during COVID, and that's what happened to me, where I spent a lot of time just figuring out who I am, what I wanted in life, and Ad Astra was born for that. I spent a lot of work finding ways to align Ad Astra to my personal values and what I wanted to bring.
So Christina is known for her extensive business plan. It is quite impressive. It's like 200 pages. I've read it. It's awesome. But Zach, I want to turn to you. When somebody's coming with a business plan, because I want to hear it from her perspective as well, but from the bank perspective, just like some basics. When somebody's coming, because I feel like there's a lot of maybe anxiety when somebody's coming to a bank, or just not knowing what the bank's looking for. Can you give us a little perspective on what the bank wants to see?
So with that 200-page business plan, we probably read, 5 pages of it. It's important, but there's stuff before that comes. So really the most basic stuff to bring if you're wanting to talk to a commercial lender is 3 years tax returns. That's complete tax returns, U.S. or federal side. We don't need the state side. And then what most banks call PFS, that's a personal financial statement. And what that is, it's your assets, it's your liabilities, and then it's your equity. So that's like the main, is that good? Yeah. So that's the main thing we're looking at is, can you cash flow this business, this request? So we're gonna look, have you had positive income? With that too, we're gonna look at the credit score. Credit score is that's how we tell your character. Like obviously, I know Christina a little bit and I could, vouch for her character, but most people coming off the street, their character is going to be within their credit report. So that, I'd say, the basic information there.
What about if somebody maybe they're have a W-2 right now, but they're thinking about leaving that and going to, what's the dynamic with that if you're maybe leaving your W-2 job or?
To go straight.
Yeah.
Straight into the business? You're dealing with a lot of projections at that point.
Yep.
So pro forma numbers, business plan's going to come in. We're going to look to see if these are accurate numbers, or where are these numbers based. It's a tough one. We like to see the income. It makes it easier on our side, but we're not like a Fannie Mae or something where you don't have projected, or you don't have stated income. We can do a little bit more on the projections.
So, and different lenders have, obviously you're a bank that's local, but it's out of Quincy, and then there's local banks, there's larger regional, national banks. Talk to me about how you get a bank comfortable, or what different banks look for in their portfolio, because obviously like every bank has a different attitude.
Yeah, so being a federal bank, obviously cannabis is not one. That's personal to First Bankers Trust. So we have certain businesses we won't lend to, and that's one of them there. We mainly are in commercial real estate. We've got some commercial and industrial loans, but really, I tell most people I'll look at any loan there. There's not something that you'd come in and I'd say no to. We have a pretty good mix of everything that we could handle whatever requested, but that's specific to First Bankers Trust.
All right, Christina, going back to you, when you first tell us the journey of what you went through in your financing. I know there was a lot of different steps to that, relationship with the bank, then maybe not a relationship, and some different things. Can you describe that process and what you went through?
Yeah, so for me, I financed at Astra, and I don't know if we're going to talk about that, but I financed it through several different ways, including a commercial loan. And for me, the process to even walk into the bank was so massively extensive. Like David said, I have a 200-page business plan, and that's not an exaggeration. If anybody wants to look at it, everybody I've shown it to says it's great. I skimmed it, which I get. But what for me, something I did that I know my bank, I'm going to name drop Todd Durant at West Central. What they really appreciated was the thoroughness of it and the dream and the vision behind it. So I really think, maybe the bank really doesn't care what your mission statement is, but you are, your customers are, and your future is, and that's going to make it more real to you. And if it's not real to you, it's not real to the bank. Something else I went through before I walked to the bank was my personal finances. I paid off as much debt as humanly possible to have as much of a good balance as I could. And then I had, when I was younger, put a lot of money in my retirement. I'm not saying this is the right thing to do, but this is what I did. And it's worked out so far. But I pulled money out of my retirement because I was so ahead of schedule, and I wanted to have a 10% down payment for the loan. And I've told a lot of business owners this: don't bother going to a bank or an investor and asking them for money if you're not even going to try to get your own money and a decent amount of your own money put into it. Because if you're going to go to a bank and do what I did and ask for $300,000 and you're going to go, here's $50, why would they want to get involved in that and risk it if you're not willing to risk it yourself? And I went to a bank, and I'm not naming names, and I thought for the longest time, for a month or so, it was going to go, all words, all conversations pointing in a positive direction. And then I got a call of, we can't do this. And something that I want to advise everybody is never put all your eggs in one basket, and be prepared to hear no a lot, because it will happen. A challenge if you're going to the restaurant and bar industry is you have no assets. Your wine glasses, your chairs, your paintings, all those things, pennies on the dollar, if that. So if you're going to ask for a lot of money, you need to have some sort of personal equity that they can come after. You're not going to come barging on my door. But something that was a shock to me was they had to put on a second mortgage on my house, which thankfully I have a lot of equity in it. But it was kind of a shock because as a person, you don't go to a bank and get a house, get a car personally, and they go, what you got? What do you got that I can take from you if needed? But it's a lot different. And so that was a huge shock. So something that I recommend is call the bank first and ask them an annoying amount of questions. And if they don't want to answer, then don't go to that bank. because I asked my banker a lot of annoying questions, and he was like, Christina, just calm down. And it's been a great relationship, but there was a lot of like personal processes of fundraising, equity building myself, and then getting that business plan ready and making it real to me before I even went to the banks that I did to get the yes I finally got.
Talk about what you did, like the things you actually did for your business.
Yeah, so I financed Ad Astra through a lot of different ways. So I went through the commercial route of getting a commercial loan. I also invested a large chunk of money personally into Ad Astra, my savings, retirement. I had a lot of friends and family who, when they heard about it, they were like, I don't like wine and I'm probably not going to show up, but here's $20 to like help you get your like LLC registration or whatever. I worked with Patrick at Rivery Apparel to do a fundraiser of pre-selling custom shirts, and made a couple $100s off of that to help pay for all the stuff that you need to even talk to a bank, to even open up a bank account. And I pre-sold wine club memberships and made several thousands of dollars off of that. The only route I didn't go was grants, because I didn't get any of the grants I applied for, because I'm not good at writing grant proposals, because they require you, because they condense what you want to say down to very tiny sentences.
We talked about some of those reasons that a bank would say no. Zach, what are some of those, and what do you think more people should do before they come to you?
So I think probably the number one thing is check your credit score before you come to the bank. So this is my policy, but 680 is the minimum credit score. If you're under that, it's, we can make exceptions, but it's kind of hard to go to bat for someone you just met with a 500 credit score. So I'd say probably immediately check your credit score, know what's on there.
What about like personal relationship? Talk a little bit about that with your banker, and how much does that weigh into things?
I think, it's a positive to have, maybe not up front, but as you go on. It was probably a pretty long process of getting that loan, maybe a couple months, right?
3-4 months.
3-4, okay, so up front, you're learning about this borrower, and, at maybe that level at West Central, I don't know their policy, but typically a lender's gonna have to go to a board, and they're gonna fight for that deal. So I'd say if you can, make a personal relationship with the banker, because I'm sitting in front of, directors or my regional committee, and I'm saying, I know Christina, I know her character, this thing's not gonna fail. I'm not gonna guarantee it, but I'm gonna go to bat for her because I know what this process has looked like.
Christina, you mentioned that mission statement. I know part of that for you is being a part of the downtown revitalization. Can you talk about that and just what that means to you?
Downtown since I was about 19 years old, so I've been through a lot, and I'm turning 30 this year. So I've seen a lot of the ups and downs the past 10 plus years of downtown, and something that was so different to me when I started really getting involved several years ago, pre-COVID, was compared to the rest of town. This is not me dogging anybody, but compared to the rest of the town, it's a community and a family here. I know business owners on different parts of town that don't get the same benefits we do, as like even with DSI membership, or just when COVID happened, everybody banded together to help each other. I know like Willow and Birch Salon, they have an online shop, and some other shops downtown didn't. So when everybody was shut down, they put other stores' products on their website to help them sell and stay open. You don't get that in big cities. You don't get that in other parts of the Sangamon County, and that was so important to me. And just the environment. I know we talked about the environmental aspect. I'm a huge environmentalist, and something I didn't want to do was go spend all this money and then wait a year for a brand new building to be built somewhere that looks just like 50 other buildings in town. I'd have to say, no, not that strip mall, the strip mall next to it. And also, or have somebody tear down a perfectly fine building to rebuild something else in place that could have just been revitalized. And downtown, with the way it's built, we kind of don't have much of a choice but to revitalize a lot of these buildings. And it's been a journey. We've had a lot of conversations just trying to get those dang permits approved. But our building was built in like 1912, and it's been being completely revitalized and brought forward. And the impact on the environment is so positive too. You get in there, and then just the impact on the community and those dead spaces. That was so important to me to be a part of and be involved in personally.
So just to be transparent, that is the building that I own, obviously. So yeah, Zach, I didn't really tell you we were going to maybe talk about this, but from the commercial lending side, can you talk about maybe why it's a challenge sometimes and just some of the things that lenders can do to help out with that in relation to older buildings and downtown?
Yeah.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah. It's something I don't have a lot of experience with doing. I love downtown too. I've been here my whole life, and I do think it's the heartbeat of Springfield, and I love these old buildings. But I think maybe from a lender side, and with First Bankers Trust, we had a loan that went bad downtown. I won't tell you which one, but we have such a negative perception, maybe not personally me, but the bank, that any new project that's downtown is going to be that one that was in the past. So it's kind of, I'm dealing with board members that are in Quincy, which is a completely different market than Springfield. So I think it's upfront knowing the project, knowing who's involved, and just seeing the passion behind it. If it makes sense. I don't know what else on that.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Yeah. No, I know that, there's challenges, of course, and that's part of why we're doing this. We're trying to bring awareness to everything and help people get over the hump. So I got more for you guys, I think, but I want to open it to the floor and see if anybody had any questions. I already talked to a couple people just as we were standing around, and I know there's people that had very specific businesses and things that they wanted to talk about. So I will first turn it over to Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you. So coming from where I am as an alderwoman, and I understand completely what you mean by the background of these projects. So what could we do as the city? I know that this owner, she had a few issues with Public Works and getting her permits, and I had to kind of get in, and things kind of went a little bit smoother. But what could we do? Because I know that's one thing you all as bankers are very nervous about is, do they have the permits for these projects? Are they going to move forward? Is it going to be stopped? How is it going to work with the architect? So tell us a little bit what it is that you're looking for that will make the project go smoother to say that it's going to be okay. Tough question.
Yeah. Initially, I'd say let's table that and talk later. But, I think sometimes we get involved with stuff, and there's a lot of talk with TIF funding. It's pretty complicated, I think, to when those funds are coming, and if they come in on the front or if they come in on the back. I don't know. That's a tough one just to see, like, how the permits work. I'm not as familiar with that. I think maybe some other bankers are, but just if there was like Exhibit A, we could walk through and go from start to finish to see everything that would need done to get that funding. I think that would be like, if you could put something quick together like that and we could just work on both sides, I think that'd be beneficial to both parties.
I think so much of it is having, the city support, which we do, and just having some good momentum, which we're trying to generate here with like a groundswell of some new businesses, things that are happening on Adams Street. We're just going to continue to get, the bankers and the institutions more and more comfortable as more things kind of come up from the groundswell of activity that, stuff like this is trying to generate. So,
David,
yep.
Maybe that's something that we can do as a city. We can have like Director Bottom and have the Planning Commission come out so that we can have the bankers come and people who are wanting to go into these spaces to get activated and just do some education.
That's the number one thing I found too, is like the communication, open lines of communication. It's just like when Christina, you started talking with your bank, and Zach, what you've said, like just starting those conversations as early as possible, and just being open and upfront about things, and that's a huge help. So open to the floor. Any other questions? Wanted to open it up for everybody. Anybody got a question for Zach, Christina, or just anything?
They don't. I have another
Have at it.
So knowing that your business is getting ready to open, I want to figure out how can we be more supportive after you're open so you can have a sustainable business and also get more points with the bank. So when you're wanting to go for more of an equity loan later on down the line, if you want to expand, what can we do as downtown and just as citizens to have your business sustainable?
First off, you can buy a wine club membership. I have those for sale. For me, it's just, I have a lot of people in my life who they don't drink anymore for whatever reason, or they can't drink, but they want to support and they sharing a business owner's social media posts, liking the social media posts, even if you're not a customer because you don't like their product, or it's not applicable to you. That can be.
What's something that's given you hope with downtown right now, Christina? I mean, obviously you're locating your business down here. Just one last kind of comment on downtown and what's getting you excited about opening and being a part of it.
I think for me, what's given me so much hope as a millennial and a woman in a very male-dominated industry is seeing all the female business owners coming downtown. I have two stores next door. One's opening soon, one just opened, that are opened by women. And, I have Monica here, who owns Wild Rose Artisans. I was going to say something else. Sorry. So we have all these amazing just businesses downtown, and just for me, seeing other people, generations before me, generations that are mine, and generations that are after me, which is so weird to say that there's a generation that is after me that can own a business. It's just seeing all of that's given me a lot of hope that, even if it all hits the fan again, there's something that's going to come out of it, and we're going to keep moving forward.
And you're being represented by a female.
Yeah.
DSI. Yes.
And
And an older woman.
And older woman.
From the lending side, assuming you're not throwing out the door when you see something, you mentioned the credit score line, whether it's that or anything else, what recommendations would you have something that's not, it's on the edge or just not cutting it just on the edge?
So I'd say with that is, you can have that conversation to look at the credit report. I'm bad about this, and I know a lot of other lenders will just say, hey, the credit score was this, and you're denied. Really, the conversation should be like, your credit score was this because of these things on there. So I know Carrollton, they do credit builder programs. We're working on one at my place here. We're a smaller shop, but that's something I would like to have that conversation with people. Is essentially what it is we'll do a loan for $500, put that into a savings account, secure that savings account, and you make 12 monthly payments to installment, and that's going to boost your credit, hopefully. But I think just having that conversation with them to say, yeah, it's a no right now, but in 12 months things can change, credit score can go up, and let's look at it again then.
Hi, I'm Abby Powell. I'm with the Growth Alliance here in Springfield and formerly with the city. So I just want to, on that note, make sure everyone in the room is aware that there are a couple of really great kept secrets here in Springfield about building those credit scores and bridge lenders. First of all, there's LISC, which is a micro-lending organization, LISC, and they can help you if you have kind of wonky credit or you're just starting a business that need some help, and it's for customers who are not good candidates for traditional banks. So LISC, LISC is the name of that organization. And then the city actually has a fantastic resource that's housed in the municipal building called Justine Peterson, and that is another similar micro-lender. When I say micro-lender, I'm talking like up to $100,000. It's not like $500, which is helpful for some people, but if you're starting a business, you need more than $500 to get that going. But the Justine Peterson program, it's a woman's name, but it's a company name, and there's a representative housed in the municipal building, and they have 3% commercial loans right now, which if you looked at the commercial loan environment, that is unbelievable. And they're specifically targeted to people who are having trouble getting over the hump of getting a traditional bank loan. That's their sweet spot. That's who they're looking for. And so if you're somebody who falls into one of those categories, who you are just not a great candidate for traditional banking, Liz or Justine Peterson are fantastic resources for you.
This gentleman right here. That's
My name is Esteban Cruz. Just one question, kind of going back to what's important to get a loan. So it seems like the most important thing is a clear tax return and credit score. But things like market study, industry, like revenue forecast, and things like that, is that like how much does that matter? Because some of those things are expensive to put together, and they're not going to matter that much.
sure. Great question.
I guess on that, it kind of depends. You know, if you're coming in for a $150,000 loan, those things probably aren't needed. But if you're coming in for a $2 million loan, maybe the stuff we want to get is maybe a little more high level with that. But typically, you don't see a whole lot of market studies or anything of that matter. I think the business plan kind of covers that. You can do some of that homework on your own. And we can kind of do some of that homework on our own. So I'm all for don't get someone involved that you have to pay a bunch of fees for if it's not really something you need. So
How do you guys look into that? Can you do it? Because obviously you're not going to know every single business that's out there. What does that look like from your end if you're dealing with a startup business or something like you're doing the propane tanks, right? Is something you know nothing about. What does that look like for looking at projections?
yeah, so sometimes you'll get lucky. You'll have a board member that's involved with a business like that you can lean on. It's just kind of tough. I think Google probably is the best. It's kind of a crappy answer, but we'd probably could look at some questions on that and try to meet with you as the customer or the borrower and kind of try to get these answers questioned. I think you could go and probably get a market analysis done. I honestly don't do it. Christina, have you done it? Okay.
Yeah.
There's your answer right there. I'll lean it on you.
Yeah, so I'm a big data geek and a data nerd, and so I did a lot of that market research. I did local market research, and that was everything from, I just figured out what my target market was, and I went and I just hounded people on Instagram, I hounded people in bars, and asked all these questions to get an idea of what the interest was, what the community interest was. I am very fortunate that the wine industry has a lot of large corporations that do data research, and there's yearly continental as well as global data that's done and gathered on sales and distribution and all this stuff that I could go on and on about. And some of that does cost money. I would not pay over $100 for a report, and if you're paying that much, it needs to be very extensive and detailed. But I think that even if the bank doesn't really care too much about that, if that's not important to them, it's important to you as a business owner when it comes to your profit, losses, and projections, to be able to look at those prior industry trends, what affected those industry trends, and what they're projecting going forward. Specifically, if your industry, I'm not sure, but I'm sure maybe Prairie Land and like Ameren, maybe those organizations that do propane and gas might be able to give you some information if you beg and plead, maybe.
One last big resource, and I'll come to your question in 1 second, is Innovate Springfield and the Co-Starters program, which you went through. So that's a huge resource for anybody looking to start a business. It's a 8 to 10 week kind of business incubator through Innovate Springfield. But Christina, can you just kind of give the high level, because I think that was a big part of your process as well.
Yeah, so Innovate in Springfield's Co-Starters program is to really simplify down all the amazingness that's in it. It's kind of a crash course in business and building a business. I have a business management degree, so it was kind of a really great refresher to be able to go through it and to be able to niche down in a group of people and say, this is my business idea. Help me get from a concept to a completed business plan or something that's ready to be executed. And it was everything from how to do market research, what to research, how to write a mission statement, company values, figuring out your target market and products and the basics of like profit and losses and profit and loss worksheets. And while that was amazing, I have to say the most priceless part of that is the community and all of the connections and all the people that you meet through that and all the resources you get. It's partnered through UIS, so you get a lot of UIS resources and a lot of their contacts. I've talked to lawyers, bankers, accountants, all of that for free or at discounted rates because of that program. So it's just, I can't recommend it enough.
One last question, and then we'll wrap it up.
Hi, Steve Myers with Myers Commercial Real Estate. We learn new things in business every day. I've never heard of a 200-page business plan, but kudos to Christina. About 2 years ago, I learned something, and it's important for every entrepreneur, probably every lender in the room, and that's this. My brother was in town and met with a man who developed a program for healthcare companies that could be used by people like Blue Cross Blue Shield, major insurance companies. And he met with my brother to find out if he could help him with venture capital to start marketing this. And so we had lunch, and my brother asked him, he said, how much money do you need to move this forward, whether it's opening a wine bar or a new gift shop downtown or whatever. And he said, it'll take $1 billion. And my brother said, I'm going to write you a check for $4 million today. How are you going to use it? If you can't answer that question, you haven't gotten to the right step. So be prepared. If you need to walk in and say, I need $100,000, when he says, I'm going to hand you a check for $200,000, how are you going to deploy those resources? Be prepared to answer that. Because if you can't, he's going to say, wait a minute, you're looking to start and grow the business. And you've got to be able to answer. When you get to that $200,000 per year sales level, you can handle it. So just a piece of information. Please do that before you go in to visit your banker, whoever it is. We got great bankers all over town. But do that because there's the first brick. You're building your future and the future of your family and others too. So kudos to this group. Thanks for everything tonight. That's good.
All right, well with that, that's a great piece of advice. We'll wrap it up. Encourage you guys to hang around and just talk and network and talk to Zach and Christina, anybody else in the room. But just want to, on behalf of DSI, say thanks to everybody for coming out. And we're going to do 3 more of these events throughout the year, 1 a month, July, September, and then October. We'll be talking with the city. We'll be doing the next one at Resource One. What's our topic?
It is about how to take your business from market to brick and mortar. And then the one after that is about navigating through public funding. That's Dave.
Yeah, so just a variety of topics to help people throughout their challenges and getting through starting a new business or whatever their venture is. So, yep. This is Kayla Graven, the director of DSI. So, thank you, Kayla. But yeah, thanks everybody for coming out. Another round of applause, and we'll wrap it up. Thank you.